Hello, hello, hello. Who do we have out there in the void of space tonight? Let's see. We're back with another Space Engineers 2 stream, and I'm once again joined by Marek. Marek, welcome.
Hi everybody. Hi Joel.
Well, Marek, it's another update for Space Engineers 2, and they've been flying out the door recently. It wasn't that long ago that we had the workshop launch, and since then, of course, we've been having weekly updates as well. So yeah, I mean, just please share some thoughts about how it's been the last month or so, you know, since the workshop launch and everything. I'm sure the community would love to hear from you.
Yeah, I think everything is going well. Players are creating mods, adding them to the workshop, so workshop is getting bigger and bigger. We have seen many interesting creations, ships and stations and so on, so this is really good. What positively surprised me is how beautiful things are people able to create in SE2 and then share it. So almost everything looks like, you know, from a movie, so that's very nice. So I think this is going very nice. Now I'm looking forward to VS 1.2 that will be releasing, and in the future the modding as well.
Of course, and today actually will be 1.2, and we'll be sharing the details of that very shortly, as well as you know, the trailer for this is going to be showcasing what's new. But it's yeah, a very nice update that's going to bring in some, you know, improved mechanics and refinements here. And as Marek said, yeah, modding is coming next as well. So lots of stuff happening in Space Engineers 2. And just on the workshop front, I know I also wanted to give like a shout out to some of the other creations that we're seeing. You know, they're almost like player-made blocks, but they're almost like they're technically blueprints, like modules and stuff. But I'm not sure if I told you, Marek, but I was telling Aaron recently. There was a couple of times I went to the workshop, and I was like, wait a minute. Someone's got modding into the game already. And then I realized it wasn't a mod. It was just a highly detailed blueprint that players had created. So I think it's so fantastic to see players already kind of fully utilizing the power of Space Engineers 2 and VRage 3, the building systems, you know what I mean, compared to what they've had in the past. So that was something that I thought was really, really cool and great to see.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I actually expect that will be the primary way how to build in SE2, you know, by using these modules, which are blueprints made from blocks, and using them like blocks, you know, putting them on toolbar and so. So yeah, that's good that players understand this concept and are already using it.
Definitely, and and this will continue, guys, because in the sense you'll have blocks that will be smaller blocks that will help you make your own blueprints and blocks, so to speak. But of course, we also talked about it. I think it was in one of your recent, one of Marek's recent weekly posts, was that actually, you know, it's also key to have very detailed, like larger blocks, right, Marek? You know, so you can also, of course, you can build things out of lots of small 25 centimeter, you know, grids, blocks and so on. But also it's important to kind of mix that in with highly detailed, like very nice models from the artists that are like bigger sections, like, you know, wall pieces and corridors and so on like this. And then you can build upon those to customize those further.
Yes, exactly. And we're also working on a new kind of decorative blocks. Maybe decorative is not the right word, but currently we are using it. And those are blocks that are using the 25 centimeter grid system. And it's like various pipes and pillars and let's say like a side of a corridor and so on. So players can combine them and build their own corridors or maybe even exterior sections. And add that granularity and fine detail to their ships and to their modules. So I think that will be another way how players will be building. And in the end, the game and the ships will look like, you know, like not like made from blocks, but actually almost like if they were modeled that way. That's my personal goal. That I don't want the game, even in the interiors, to feel like, you know, it's blocky and simple shapes and so on. I actually want also the interiors to feel like what you would see in a movie, you know.
Yeah, 100%. And I think this kind of like, I almost want to call it like hybrid building, the mix of these larger and smaller things going together. It's sorry, apologies guys, I'm a little bit under the weather here today. I've lost my train of thought. But yeah, no, it's great to see that players are already doing this, but the team will continue to support this and even open up more possibilities in the future. And this kind of also reminds me that you guys should definitely check out Marek's blog. Every week he's sharing a small bit behind the scenes of what he was looking at during that week, and that kind of goes as well in hand with the weekly updates. So Marek, maybe you want to talk a little bit about weekly updates and why they came back and why they're here, and what players can expect from those in the future.
Yeah, so weekly updates. By the way, maybe we'll be renaming it to weekly releases, because I think it's like a more precise name for it. So weekly updates or releases are every Thursday, and we are adding a couple of blocks. And as you know, they are being developed by artists and integrated into the game and tested. And the reason is that we don't want to, postpone everything for some big vertical slice in the future. We want to give players, like what we have incrementally or as incrementally as possible. And also, I think it's a good tool how to draw people's attention back to the game, because that worked really well with SE1 10 years ago or 11 years ago. And we cannot do it just like it was done for SE1, where we are actually adding new features, new mechanics every week, because back then the game was and the team was much smaller, everything was easier, and we could actually operate on that frequency, every week. Now with a big team and like much higher quality bar for the features and the assets, it cannot be done, but it can be done for the blocks, because usually we have many artists working on the blocks, and every week, some blocks are finished, so we can put them to the game. So that's something that players will be getting now. So again, every Thursday, you are getting a free update to SC2 with some new block or a new set of blocks. We already have a lineup for next few months. And of course, sometimes there will be a week with a proper vertical slice update, like today, and with new features and mechanics. And yeah, that's that. And if you're also interested about other news, you can also watch visit my blog. And I'm releasing a dev diary every Thursday as well, and sharing, like what I personally was working on, or reviewing, or playtesting, and so on. And more on top of that, I think if you follow our social media channels, you can also see the creations that the community is creating, and then like we are discovering the pieces that we like or that got our attention and posting them on our social media. So there is a lot of things happening in SC2 world.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's there's so much happening that you guys can get involved in, be that sharing those creations or just keeping up to date with what the team is working on. That also just leads me to give a big shout out to our team as well, who are really they're following everything. They're seeing what the community's saying about various features, and there they are, like seeing what you guys are building. So shout out to the whole team, because there's a long road ahead of us for SE2. And, everyone's having a great time just, getting stuck into it and using, adding things and maybe even addressing things as the community feeds back on those things. So it's really important that you guys continue giving all the feedback, all the ideas and suggestions on the support site. But yeah, it's I think I have to admit, it's just good vibes all around. And just to quickly touch on SE1, because we always do that on these streams. I know you guys have been waiting for the 206 update. I know there's a lot of anticipation for it, and it's going to be such a cool update for SE1. So I actually wanted to ask Marek if you could, maybe give a little hint of how soon these players out there might have to wait for it 206. Not very long, right, Marek? We're close now.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of weeks. I don't want to say precise date, because that's just something that is being discussed in the team internally, but it should be probably just a few weeks. So I think that will be nice. And again, I also want to return to the shout out to our SE1 and SE2 teams. So again, I think they are the heroes here, working on the assets and the features and design and everything. So I think we have very good team and very good collaboration, and I'm really enjoying it with them. I think they are the right team to make SE1 and SE2.
Someone in the chat saying 52 weeks is a few weeks. It's a lot less than that. A lot less than that. Very, 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 very soon. So, and then just again, some of you guys have kind of heard a lot of this, so we're going to get through this and get to the update today. Just a few more points here. I mean, you guys, I think at this point know the vertical slice strategy and how, you know, the team is really focusing on a set of features, and then once those are ready, they're then launched as a vertical slice. And then and of course, in between there's weekly updates of smaller things. I mean, hell, there was conveyor blocks came in one of the weekly updates, and there's definitely going to be smaller bits here and there. But when it comes to big updates, like modding, like planets and survival, these will be in large vertical slices. But I think the community is pretty well versed on the VS strategy, as we call it. But I do want to just give another quick reminder of what is coming next. And that is in the next update, for the big major update for, well, not even major because it's still like a 1.5, but 1.5 will be modding, which is major in terms of the impact it will have on the community. There's also, after that, will be planets and survival, water, multiplayer, NPCs, story campaign, all of that to come. But yeah, like coming up as modding, and again, Marek, just throwing it back to you, I think maybe you had something to share on the modding front, and maybe, you know, how the development of the modding update is going and the testing.
Yeah, we're already sharing the build with the modders and getting their feedback. They're already creating very interesting mods, and there is already actually just an hour ago we had a very nice chat with some of the modders and you know, getting their feedback and like how easy is it to use the modding, where we should improve it, make it more intuitive, or maybe some missing features and so on. What kind of mods are allowed, and what kind of mods, you know, will be, or what kind of modding will be released when, you know, like modding the blocks, modding the characters, the sounds, and other things. So we have a very good connection also with the modders, so that's nice, and they're already building some nice things. And yeah, so also modding and VS 1.5 is not that far. It's I wouldn't say weeks. It's you know, months, but not that many months. So that's one thing that we are working on. And then the other big one is the planets and survival, and which is more months into the future. And that will be a big one because it will add like a proper gameplay to SE2. It will probably still not be, you know, the final version of the survival loop that we are envisioning. It will be just the first step, but it will be, you know, a gameplay. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then of course water. The water team is working very hard on making the water fast and stable and just good. And then multiplayer. The exact order of these things is more or less, you know, set. So modding, planets, and survival, then water, then multiplayer. There is maybe possibility that water and multiplayer can be at the same time, or maybe multiplayer will be before water. We will see, you know, when we get there, like which of those have like a higher velocity. So that's that. And then I want to quickly return to the vertical slice.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And you know why we released SE2 on early access. So the main reason was that we wanted to share the game with the players as soon as possible. Like from the first step that makes sense. So of course we could release it, or we could share it 3 years ago, but you know that wouldn't make any sense. So that's why we made vertical slice 1, which is like a vertical slice of the final scope of the game, focusing only on creative mode and these new amazing graphics that we have. That's the first step. Of course, you know, you can say that it's not a game and so on, but it's already something that we can share with the players, and this counts for us, you know, because then we can get feedback and the fun starts, you know, because I think it's much more fun when you have players who are feedbacking your game and not just, you know, doing it internally for many years. So we chose this strategy with vertical slices, where we go like one big feature after another, and that's it.
And we've seen so much kind of interaction with the community already. There's been a number of changes have already been made and implemented because of the community feedback. And I think even due to stuff that has been continuing to be said, you haven't seen the results of that feedback, I guess, yet, but it's being noted and it's being considered or being actively worked on. So definitely it's been, and the modding is an example that, right, the team could have just made it internally and dropped modding and then, right, modders have fun. But the fact that they're working with some of the modders right now, you know, to gather feedback on all those things before it's widely available, you know, it makes for a much smoother launch. And you know, these are members of the community who have been, you know, I guess creating amazing content and mods for many years, and you know, are trusted by the community as well. So yeah, it's been really great to have everyone involved this soon. And I know some people haven't bought the game yet, and we still stand by that messaging that, you know, if maybe the feature that you really want to play the game isn't there yet, so you are just, you know, sitting by the side waiting for that update to come, but that's okay as well. So really, we always say, if you want to be involved in the process now, want to play the game now, please do pick it up, jump in. But yeah, there may be better times for you to join depending on where you're at and so on. So that's also like a kind of a point to go on to that as well. Just thinking now, there's a few more things here. I mean, yeah, we cover the weekly updates as well, and we kind of, again, a reminder, guys, to check out Marek's weekly dev diaries as well, and the newsletter. The newsletter has always been a juicy source of information, and just looking for his water, for example, there's been some amazing teasers around water that has been posted around in different places, and you can really see the progress that's being made there. And I just remembered one other thing that I was going to add was that yep, I said it. Oh yeah, when it came to the order of things, because we have a plan, right? We have a rough internal plan, but sure, modding is coming next. We're working on that, and there's things that are almost certain. But still, if you guys really make your voice heard about like the kind of priorities, I guess, that you feel like, you know, we can definitely shift things around. It's not too late, I guess, to change the order of some things depending on, you know, what might make the most sense. But yeah, it all kind of comes down to, yeah, please keep up the feedback. Yeah, is there anything else that you kind of wanted to say in this initial section, Marek? Well, we have the whole community gathered here today.
Yeah, just thanks to everyone who is creating and sharing their creations in the game, either making videos or making you know, content for the workshop or posting things on social media. Eventually, you know, like we see most of it or many of it, and it really makes me happy when I see what people are creating video games. So thanks everyone, and again, thanks to the team that is making this possible.
Yeah, and there's been rapid progress already, but there's still an exciting journey ahead as well. Just a few more points I just remembered is that, again, a reminder that SE2 merch is now available on the Zazzle store. So if you want to get yourself a Space Engineers 2 hoodie or something like that, you can now do that. It's very nice. I haven't got it on me right now, but there's some nice ones out there. And there was actually that, you just said that, Marek, and it reminded me of, oh, the chat. Yeah, Marek, I did this interesting. I think me and Aaron did this, and I'm not sure which chat you're reading right now, but I'll ask the chat again. If you guys, let's say two things. If you haven't picked up the game yet, SE2, or maybe you have, but you're not really deeply playing it a lot, what is the one or two features, mechanics, that would get you playing 24/7, that would get you really into it, or maybe you pick up the game? Just let us know in the chats right now, what would be that one feature maybe that's like, all right, I'm in. I know for some people it's mechanical parts, for some people it's planets, some people it's survival, some people it's multiplayer. So let us know in the chat, and our team can have a look at there and see what the community's saying. So I'm seeing a lot of, oh, it's interesting here. Wow. Suggestions are coming in. You seen these, Marek?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Nice feedback, and thanks for this question, Joel. I think it was quite useful.
Yeah, I know. I do. We do it sometimes. You know, we're asking just straight up, and obviously this isn't the whole community. It is but it's a pretty good how to word it, like polling size, I guess. There's enough people here to get a good range, but you can see there, and we'll see what maybe we'll tell the devs who aren't tuning in to, hey, check out what people are saying. But anyway, I think it is time, Marek, to roll the trailer for VS 1.2 and reveal to the community today what they will be getting in this. Do we have a word for this, Marek, where it's like not I guess it is vertical slice 1.2, but it's not like a full vertical slice. It's like a mini vertical slice. It's like a sub-slice almost.
Yeah. It's a minor one. The major is vertical slice 1, vertical slice 2, and these are like in between. And the reason we are doing them is so the players don't need to have to wait for the big vertical slice, you know, because vertical slice 2 is still many months in the future, and we just didn't want players to wait. And also, like me myself, I don't want to be without a release for too many months.
Yeah, I hear you, yeah.
It just feels, I don't know, like nothing is happening, or, you know, it's just somehow wrong. So for that reason, we took out things that, you know, don't need to wait for the big update, but can be released sooner, and we are putting them to VS 1.2, then there will be 1.5, the modding, and there will probably 1.6, which also will contain the feedback from players that we are getting now, and from 1.5. And then there will be, of course, VS2, the big one, the survival.
And I think that's actually, I think the last, like, kind of just point to make is, again, like, some people are saying, oh, that 1.3, 1.4. So it's, so next will be 1.5, but 1.6, for example, that wasn't planned to begin with. But because we saw the player feedback, we're like, let's put in another sub-slice, well, we had to come up with a name for that, you know, in there for 1.6. So as for whether or not there'll be other smaller slices before 2.0, again, it will kind of come down to the community feedback and how the team kind of looks at that and feels about it. So yeah, keep it coming, guys. But I think, Marek, if you're ready, we can roll this clip and get this release out there.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Enjoy, guys. Here we go. Here we go.
Target range active. Debug gun. Now with enhanced model and effects. Let's see what it can do. Two more down. Jetpack upgraded. Booster engaged. That's new. First response feels tighter. Navigation smoother. Feels like flying, not wrestling. Let's dock this beast. One click, one motion, whole ship obeys. Third person off center. Finally, I can see what I'm doing. Asteroids never stood a chance. Destruction's got weight now. Satisfying. Let's add some color. No, too much. Undo that. Wish I had that for my life choices. Toolbars scroll like butter. Let's get a few more of these. Now we stress test. Results explosive. Vertical Slice 1.2 is live now. What will you build next?
Well, there we go. We're back, Marek. What did you guys think? So, very, very nice trailer again. Showcasing some of those new features that we have in today's Vertical Slice. We're going to be jumping into the game very shortly, and Marek's going to lead us through these changes. And but before we do that, Marek, how about we release the unleash the release even?
Yes, yes. Thanks for the reminder. Yeah, so Vasek and everyone, please unleash the release.
There we go. All right. So, very shortly, guys, you will be getting the updates queued to your game. And we're now, in just a sec, we're going to get in Aaron. Hopefully he's wetting the wings. And we're going to go through the blog post here. And I think Marek's going to lead us through the features. And I will be doing some gameplay showing these features in the background here. So give me just a second. We're going to get Aaron in here. Here we go. I can hear him. Aaron, can we hear you? Let's see.
Yeah, can you? Yeah, I've just got back from testing out the debug gun.
Okay, hold.
Yeah, it was.
Wait. Oh, Aaron missed that. What was you? What were you?
You missed
I missed
that.
it. I missed it. Go it again. I didn't transition quick enough.
I said. Oh, I've just got back from testing out the debug gun. I have to say, it's absolutely great. Just be careful with it. It's very dangerous.
Love it, mate. Yeah, that's it. No, it's a lot of fun. I had a lot. It makes the debugging shooting a lot more satisfying. So we're gonna actually dive into that in just a second here. You guys can see on the screen here again the summary of those features we have in today. But of course there is more, isn't that right? There is also there's more refinements and improvements. There's a whole changelog you guys should check out, fixes as well. But how are you feeling today, Aaron, about this release?
You know what? I'm really excited, and the trailer itself just does it a hell of a lot of justice. The most exciting thing I'm actually really anticipating here is the new movement, especially the movement of the camera. And we'll see. We'll go through it shortly. I don't want to get too into it, but even just the ability to undo the paint gun function is amazing. But we'll get straight into that. It's a really exciting day with some really cool features that are going to change up your gameplay experience.
Yeah, and we'll see this, I think, best shown in the game in a second here. So let me just pull this up and give you guys that for a second. So rather than go through the blog post on the screen, I think, today, I will just bring the game up, and Marek can lead us through this and kind of talk about why these changes were actually made and, the thinking behind it here. So feel free to go ahead, and Marek, and I'll just get the game up here in the meantime.
Yeah, so let's talk about off-center third-person camera first. So the idea behind this was something actually that was on our mind for years, and because in SE, when you are in third-person character mode, the crosshair is basically on top of the head of the character, so you basically don't see where you are aiming or like what is there where you are aiming. And I think also it doesn't look really pretty when the crosshair and the head are like just one over each other. And so we're thinking the best solution seems to have the off-center camera, so move the camera to the right shoulder or left shoulder of the character. Eventually we made it as a shortcut, so with Alt V you can switch from one shoulder to the other or go back to the center, if you don't like it for some reason. And we also, this was a tricky feature because of course, to implement this isn't that hard, it's just offset the camera, and it's solved. But we not struggled, but I was kind of sleeping on it for a couple of months even, that I wasn't sure if the off-center should be like a meter or 1.5 meter, because it looks better, because then you have even better view. But then when you want to walk through a door or some very narrow corridors, you're kind of always hitting it because your crosshair is aiming somewhere and your character is actually walking, parallel with the crosshair. And we also tried solution when, they were converging to the same point and so on. So we actually tried few things, but in the end, as always, I would say the simple solution won. And that's basically that the offset is, I think like 0.5 meter or something like that. And which is not causing these problems of you cannot go through a door. And at the same time, it's offsetted enough so that you can see through the character and the head is not always in your view. The second thing we also did is that we did some vertical offset for the ship. So now the camera in third person mode is a little bit higher. So again, you see properly where your ship is flying in third person mode. So that's the behind the scenes for off-center third person camera.
Because we did a lot of testing as well for this. We studied how players actually interacted with the cameras. So a lot of the time we'd notice that players would use the third person camera to look around and observe what they're building, and then they would jump into first person when they were actually constructing. So making this third person perspective, the ability to do more in it, especially when it comes to combat and other things, it'll make it more engaging and more exciting to play with in that third person camera. And like Marek said, you'll be actually able to see what you're doing if you want to build or paint in that third person as well.
Yes. So let's move to the next one. And this is a big one. That's the target-based grid control, or sometimes we call it gyro control. And so again, the reasoning is that you remember it from SE1, when you build some big heavy ship and you want to rotate, you start, moving your mouse. And, depending on how far you move your mouse, it's translated to the impulse torque for rotation of your ship, to the gyros, and then, the physics actually rotates or turns the ship. The problem is that if the ship is really heavy, your movement with the mouse will translate to only very small amount of actual rotation. So if you want to turn around a big heavy ship, you need to go with mouse and now I'm showing it like this. And it's kind of annoying. You also feel like the game is ignoring your input in a sense, because a lot of that movement feels like it's being lost or ignored by the game. So again, we were thinking, then at some point somebody brought a game War Thunder, which is a flight simulator, I would say, but kind of arcade-ish. And they had nice idea with this target base. So you have a cursor on the screen, and where you aim, your airplane, in our case ship, rotates. With the maximum torque it can rotate, but it will rotate there, and then of course it will slow down and stop where your crosshair is. So we implemented that. By the way, we also had many other prototypes for how to solve this solution, but this one eventually won. We also did many tricks that makes it feel, this target base rotation feel stable, so that, when the ship starts rotating, also your crosshair or the mouse cursor basically doesn't rotate as well, and then it's kind of like you are aiming while the underlying thing is still rotating, and it feels very annoying. So we solved all these things, and again, I'm very glad that the team came up with these solutions. I didn't even have to think about it, so that was super nice. And so the benefit or the outcome now is that if you are piloting a small, light ship or some big one, super heavy, you still feel in control. The ship will rotate as fast as the gyro and mass of that ship allows. So the physics, is not changed. Physics still applies, but you feel more in control. So to me personally, it feels better when I'm flying some small ship. It just feels good. But also when I'm flying some big ship, it feels good in first person and also third person mode. And I would say that's it. So again, we will see. And also, by the way, for all these things, these new features that we'll be talking now, I'm really looking forward to people's feedback. Maybe somebody will not like it, maybe somebody will like it, maybe somebody will want some slight modification and so on. So we will see. And that's again why we are in early access, because we want this feedback loop with the players. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to how people will enjoy the new target-based.
Marek, it's amazing how smooth it is. I'm just in the background here. I'm playing the game and showcasing the features you're talking about. But it's especially with larger builds. Of course, you can still you can move the mouse and you can still use your other Q and E to roll or something. But I don't know if you guys, sorry, watching the stream can see that. But when I'm flying this red ship around the asteroids and not crashing, I misjudged the height here a little bit. You should be able to see that, just how smooth it is. It's very satisfying, honestly.
I was going to say, Joel, one of the things that I've noticed as well is you've been in a situation in the past with a big ship where your mouse is literally, I wish you could show the mouse on screen now, what you were doing with your hand movement compared to what you'd be doing in a big ship in Space Engineers 1. You'd be literally scratching that mouse across your desk to try and get that ship rotating as fast as possible. And this is going to open up a whole new department, of course, when combat comes in, of how ships will maneuver. And I personally feel that the combat will feel a lot less jerky. It feels like you're almost, sliding through and maneuvering. It flows so well on the screen. It feels like you're actually piloting a ship rather than more of, a tactical brick with more left and right mouse movement.
Oh, it's super smooth. It's actually, what's funny as well? It makes it immediately more cinematic as well. So it smooths out when you're when you're hitting certain movements, and sometimes it can be, in SE1, it can be quite more aggressive. Everything is kind of smoothed out here. So it's I hope you guys can see it from the stream, and definitely when you jump into the game shortly, I hope you'll also feel that. But of course, this is a pretty big change, changing the way that kind of flight works in Space Engineers. So like with everything else, guys, please do share your thoughts immediately. And maybe after a week or so, and you've had some time to properly digest this all. But very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love this.
Yeah. So, thanks. And by the way, why we chose to do these features, now and not wait with them later. So again, it comes with the vertical slice philosophy, is that what is already in the game should be polished to the almost final quality. And since, camera, third-person camera and controlling your ship is already in the game, then we want to have it in almost the final quality so that you get to experience it, as it will be at the end of the development of the game. So the next thing is paint gun with undo redo. So in SE2 we have undo redo. So when you are building, you can undo, like the blocks you placed or the blocks you deleted and so on. And in VS1, we didn't make also the like for the color changes, undo redo. Simply there wasn't time. So now, we finished it. It's there. I think it's again just making it much easier because now, just like the guy said in the video, you can undo your errors, like
your life choices.
your life choices. So I think it's almost like, why we never had it before kind of situation for me, because it's such a, like imagine working, with some text editor without undo redo, right? Like cannot imagine that. So I think this is really like looks like a small thing, but I think it has big impact. So that's undo redo for the colors.
I was just going to say, in the trailer, if you catch it as well, the commentator makes a small little joke about it when he undoes and redoes the color scheme. You have to check that out.
That's good stuff. It's very nice. This, I mean, undo redo was one of the biggest things that people. It's a quality of life thing, but in SE2 in general, people were super excited about it. And now, yeah, it's expanded to even more features. So, just like that.
More ways of solving your mistakes. That's what's about, isn't it? You can fix things up quicker. The quicker you can build, the quicker you can resolve your issues.
Exactly. It's nice. And also, Marek, it's a bit further down the blog post, but the players will also see some changes to the paint gun, right? They'll notice that there's no more yellow on it. The columns there show the color of the paint. So you see this here.
Yeah, that's a good point. I almost completely forgot about this. So we removed that yellow color, and also we made the cylinders on the gun, like to show the color that is selected on the gun. So, if it is, let's say, red, you are painting with red, you will see it on the barrels on the gun. We also, improved the particle effect for the gun. We improved the animation and many other things around this. For me, it's such old news, because this is something that we were working on, like, I don't know, 2 months ago or so. So, yeah.
Right.
And also, by the way, the debug gun. So the debug gun, there is a new model, animation. So player is holding in the hand and shooting. There is some recoil and those kind of things. By the way, I think we will still be changing a little bit the animation, meaning, like how the player or character, how he holds the gun. I think it will be a little bit closer to the center of the screen and a little bit further. So that will probably change, but many of things are already there. We also added the muzzle effect, particles, the projectile trails also got improved. And then of course the destruction of the voxels, that was also added. The only thing that is missing is the voxel debris. So like the little rocks that will just spawn and explode, that will be added later. And somebody in the chat was commenting that why we are focusing so much on destruction. So this is just a small thing. It's not that the whole team was working on the destruction. It's usually just a couple of, let's say, days of work for one person or so, and we did it because all the systems are already in place. So we just need to make like few extra steps, like adding the model, making particle animations, or sorry, particle effects for the voxel explosion, to make it like polished and final and good. And again, the idea is only to have that experience that you can destroy everything. And this is what I like about SE2. is like how granular the modifications are, with the fractures and with the debugger. So, for example, today we were playtesting the game, and I was searching for the medical bay in the red ship. And because, we were testing the modding, and I modded the med bay so it had this kind of like a golden color. And I wanted to find it, like if my mod actually replaced the color of the texture. So I was looking for the med bay, but nobody knew where it is. Like Sam, he knew a little bit where it is, but he wasn't so sure. So I had to find it. And in the end, I was actually like shooting through the ship and searching for the med bay, like by destroying things. And I think when we will start focusing on the combat in SE2, which will be a big topic in the future, like in a sense, that was kind of the reason to make space engineers. So when we'll really start focusing on combat and really, like exploiting and utilizing, that we have this destructible volumetric environment, I think it will all come together. And so destruction or SE and Village was always also about destruction. That's why we are focusing on it so much.
And Marek, oh sorry, Aaron, you go ahead, Aaron.
No, I was just going to say, we saw some of the destruction that, like, we almost saw like a run and gun sort of gameplay in the trailer. And that's just like relating right to the future of like how much more intense it will be when there is fractures and bits blowing off, firefights within space stations beside ships, or even just from one ship to another. I mean, they're going to be so much more impressive to see. And having this like sort of, it's like a little snippet into what first person gameplay could be like in the future with these interior battles. So it's just incredible to see, and the destruction is key to making these battles come alive and be much more immersive and scary as well as you're battling in them ships.
Yeah, and obviously there'll be a lot more combat in, as you've said, in the future. I think it's at least now it's nice to have the debug gun with the model and so on. It's definitely even more satisfying now to run around and shoot stuff. And there's a couple of things going on here as I play, which are later in the blog post actually, but I think we can talk about a little bit now as you're seeing it, and that is, Marek, improvements to animation. And one thing is, did anyone notice that when I pull the trigger of the debug gun, there's actually like trigger finger going on there? See that? Mm-hmm. And also the running, Marek, as well. So I've been doing some running. Very nice. So maybe you want to talk a little bit. I know we've changed the order a bit here, Marek, but maybe just a little bit on the improvements to animation that there's been.
Yeah, they're still ongoing improvements, and more will come later. But what we try to do is that the camera, we are basically trying to reduce the second order movements from the first person camera. So it really should be just like you are at a point and you like go in a space without your eyes or your camera going like up and down, or where you stop. Like in some games when you stop, the character or the camera still like leans forward and backwards, and I don't like it personally. I like the camera, they have in Call of Duty, where it's like very, very, like I would say like precise. And so that's what we are trying to do, and I think we almost have it in this build.
I'm also going to show a little bit of the, of course, inverse kinematics here as well. Look at this, guys. So I'm standing. You guys are a bit delayed, but I'm standing on a ramp. One foot is on the ramp and one foot is on the flat. But let me get my spectator cam here, and you can have a little closer look at this inverse kinematics here in action. And again, I think this is also work in progress, because there's a lot of edge cases for inverse kinematics, but already it's there, and it's a very, very nice change indeed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then there are small things that, for example, we had disabled the character shadow in first-person mode, so now it's back. You see the character shadow, and
yeah, we can finally see in my favorite corridor, Marek. My favorite corridor, we can see my shadow in the distance in first person now as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like the first-person character controller with animations was really improved in this version, and getting it more towards some AAA experience where we want it to be. So I think this is already much better than what we have in SE1.
Definitely.
Have we talked much about the sounds, the new sounds that have been added to the various toolbars and menus as well as I don't know, like just how, especially how meaty some of the explosions are, because it is noted.
Yeah, I got to turn the sound up. I didn't want to be shooting and overwhelming you guys, but I'll turn up the game sounds for a second, and we might lose speaking, but just so we can hear it in full glory. Here we go. Boosting.
Yeah. So we yeah, that's the jetpack. Yeah. And like regarding sounds, so we continued to like replace some of the sounds, because some of the sounds were still placeholders from SC1, and so we continued on these. The ship sounds are much more improved, so they react to speed, and when you are starting to move there is some kind of boost sound and so on. Also all kinds of collision or kind of like screeching sounds were improved depending on if you are colliding with the voxels or with another grid, and if you're colliding like head-on, or if you're colliding under an angle, if it is a big ship, small ship, like all these kind of things is there. Like I think that just the sound design would, if you would talk about sound design, it would be one live stream like this. So there is a lot of things like that, and then of course we improved the UI and HUD sounds in the game. So when you are selecting blocks on the toolbar or in the G screen, and selecting in the wheel screen, or the wheel screen, and so on. So we added sound effects to those as well. But for me, the most important are sounds of ship sounds, the engines, and the collision sounds where you are colliding with the environment.
Yeah.
And we also changed the drill sound. By the way, also consider all these things still work in progress, because we are still working on it, like feedbacking it and so on. So, for example, the drill sound that is currently in the game, I'm not sure that's the final, because that's something that we were feedbacking, or like was going through my feedback even like a week ago. So we will see. Yeah, but I really like the sounds. Or for example, there are special effects for the explosion. Sounds different when it's near you or when it's further away from you. And when it's like further away from you, it sounds with that kind of like a distant effect. So that's regarding the sounds. Regarding the inverse kinematics, just for players, it's a feature that the character will place the feet according to the real terrain or the environment or the floor under him. And so when he's walking, for example, up some ramp or walking on a terrain, he will be putting the feet, where the terrain really is. Because if you don't do this, it will be just based on the animation data, and so it would look like the character is floating, in space. So this looks much better, and I think it works. And the team, for example, they had to solve interesting problems, which were that sometimes the IK can put the feet in a position that looks very unrealistic for a human body. Like you wouldn't do that as a person.
Right.
So they had to add some kind of heuristics to the IK to really place the feet as anatomically possible for a person. So that's regarding the IK. The camera we discussed. There was a lot of work on the camera, and I'm actually glad that the animators were able to do it, because this isn't easy. Like, and it's not easy because it's usually one of those things that you change one thing and you kind of, modify 3 other things. And so I think the problem with the animations and the camera and everything is that to balance all these things at the same time, while you are an animator, so you don't really know how it's programmed. So you understand these things, from like how they were described to you. So I think it's quite challenging, but in the end they managed to do it, and I'm really glad.
I think like a really good one to show as well, Joel, is when you fly the smaller ship through the red ship as well, because you could like the camera itself is working out where it needs to be in some of these situations, so that you have the best visual sort of positioning to view the character and view what's going on. Because in Space Engineers 1 we always run into them issues where the camera would clip into something or have an issue there where it wouldn't quite work in some situations, where the team have really worked hard to try and get the camera in the best position animation, so you can view what's going on and make it smooth as well, just like Marek was saying. Like the smoothness of it and having this foundation in every feature that we release is crucial to have that core gameplay experience that's fun. And having the camera, having the animations, having the tools correct is allowing us to establish that baseline as we go and as we continue development.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just trying to show some of this stuff here as well as we talk.
Yeah, it's flowing really nicely as you enter into that ship, and as it decides which way you want to do that. Especially combine that with the new sort of aiming and movement, it's going to be incredible to play with, especially in a multiplayer battle. I cannot wait to see all these how all these core elements will play off in the future.
Oh, definitely. No, it's the changes. I mean, I'm still always walking around thinking, man, this game looks so good. I know we can be biased, but yeah, it's also exciting, to be honest, how rapidly these changes are coming. That's also one thing. Like, be it in the weekly updates, be it like a couple of blocks to start more blocks to play with, or be it some of these refinements. It's amazing what a difference this can make. So yeah, I'm just trying to showcase all this. Here's some.
Yeah, well, because the team are working so hard behind the scenes to get these, because it's literally going from the discussion, the play testing, into something that's usable, and they're working as hard as they can to get it to you guys. And the feedback that you're providing as well in the support site, we're reading through. We're going over the Discord. We're trying to find out what you guys want, what you're having issues with, and what's driving you to play and try these different things as well. And especially the community creations that we're seeing. We're seeing some really hardcore builds, and as you mentioned at the start, we're seeing blocks or blocks turn into pretty much quality. They almost look like mods, don't they, Joel, like we said at the beginning?
Yeah.
So what we're seeing is amazing, and the most important thing we can do is provide you guys with the best possible tools, and that's what these early stages are about: getting your feedback, seeing what you guys want to build, and just putting them into the game and causing that lovely foundation to be formed.
Yeah, perfectly said, Aaron. Perfectly said. I'm just focusing on trying to fly through the various ships here, and I'm having a couple of crashes. But no, the camera, you can definitely tell how the camera is smoothed out. Like, there's definitely, the camera's behaving in ways that are definitely new to me. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Because like even you just showed it a little bit by mistake there. So if you accidentally have a collision, look at how the camera responds now to that accidental collision. Like, it's not jarring, it's not jerking you across the screen. It's holding you nicely.
Here we go.
There.
Yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, it's funny this. Like, if I'm just going left and right, not doing good things. It's interesting how it's behaving, actually.
Because of course there will be some edge cases, but imagine there's two big ships that are colliding with each other now, and your cameras are not jittering all over the place. Your cameras are counting for that collision now, and it's a lot smoother. And because it's smoother, it's more visually appealing. You can see what's happening on the screen as well.
Oh no, it's fantastic there. That was an interesting moment. People are saying, don't trust me with the company vehicles. Yeah, I'll have you guys know I'm a very professional flyer.
Yeah, we always take out the extra insurance package when Joel's driving.
Exactly. Oh, Marek's back. Let's see.
Good. So we can continue.
Yeah,
right?
we can continue. Yeah.
So the other thing is improved partial copy-paste visuals, and it's just basically outlining the blocks that you are selecting, what you want to copy and paste. It's just outlining it much better, so you can feel, what's like inside the selection, what is outside the selection. So it looks like a simple change, but I think it's a very useful one. And then we can go to Jetpack. Some changes.
I'm just showing the. Sorry, Marek. I'm just quickly showing the partial copy improvements here for a second. I'm just at a platform and I'm making some changes.
It just allows you to see it a bit more clear, really, doesn't it? Because I think that was one of the big issues that players were having when they were trying to copy and paste something. They needed to work out exactly what they were pasting, and these changes just bring a little bit a better clarity to it, so players can get stuck in and use these tools. And it goes back to what I keep saying about the foundation of building in Space Engineers needs to be spot on for you guys to really enjoy the experience. So having that nice box there, clear like that's perfect.
Yeah. So I think I've shown. I didn't ended up copying that, but I think I've showcased how the the visuals are much easier to see what's going on here, guys. So that's, you can fly around and check what you selected before confirming that, and then you can go ahead and paste that in. So awesome. Yeah, feel free to carry on, Mark, and I'll show the jetpack off.
Yeah, and the jetpack. So what's new on the jetpack is in VS1 when you pressed Shift, the boost mode started to boost. And that was temporary. So what we have now, and this is closer to survival gameplay, is that jetpack has two modes, the precision and the boost. So in the precision, you just use WASD, you can go maximum 20 meters per second, and it's also safe speed, which means that if you collide within 20 meters per second, there is no damage to you or anything else. That's the safe speed system that we have in the game. And when you want to go faster, you now, with the new jetpack, you press Shift and then some, W key, so you go forward. But first there is a charge up period that takes roughly like 1 or 2 seconds. The jetpack charges up and then it kicks you, and you start accelerating towards the maximum speed, which is 1018 kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
And that's it. There's some nice sound effect to this, camera shake and so on. Although I think the camera shake, we will have to fine tune it a little bit because I think it's too aggressive. And so that's that. Like, looks like a small thing, but again, it's getting us closer to the polished final quality.
Yeah, and just to show this a bit, if you guys are seeing this, if you guys look at the bottom left, you see the hydrogen meter, and you'll see there's a bar that goes up. So if I just hold on a second, if I just turn down the music a second here as well. Sorry guys, I'm just so that you guys can hear this sounds. So the sounds are off, and now we're just hearing the game sounds, and you'll hear this new sound. Here we go. I think that was louder. And from first person, you see this shake as well. So here we go. First person, 0 meters per second. Here we go. So moving normal speed, then holding shift.
It's just so immersive, isn't it? Like, I can just imagine, losing a ship and going after it, and your boost kicks in, and you chase that ship down, you jump aboard it, you bring it to a stop. It's just an add to that cinematic sort of element of gameplay.
Yeah, it's interesting though, haven't it? It's definitely will change some things up for sure. There we go. Ooh, doing some sick moves here.
Combine that with a little delay that it's got as well, so it means that you might have to be, a bit more thoughtful about how you use your jetpack when you're boosting as well. Like, I mean, it's not instantaneous. So, like, in terms of combat stuff in the future, like you'll have to think a little bit more because you're going to have that little bit of a boost charge up.
Yeah. Those are the reasons, basically, that we're already preparing for the future survival gameplay where, it wouldn't be fair if players will be just always flying with the boost mode. So we want to, like in games, usually always want to give some advantage, but, take something away or like put there some challenge so cannot be exploited all the time. So that's that. That's the main reasoning behind this new jetpack.
Well, there we go.
Also, maybe you could see it now. There are new particles. I mean, there are so many things I almost forgot them. But for example, when you fall from a higher distance or height, you will see, the particles like the dust around your feet, going in circles.
Yeah.
From your feet. You can try just go up.
There we go.
Just fall down and you will see. By the way, the jumping animation, that's something that we'll still be working on. So please don't look on the jumping animation.
Yeah, there's been some comments about the jumping already, but I think it's pretty. It's interesting the change there, the jumping. Like I've got the This is like the jogging jump.
Yeah. We'll be improving it and
the running jump. So the running jump is super dramatic. Ugh. I mean, he's definitely putting his back into it. Like I can see the cinematic now where the ship's leaving the platform and he's like, I gotta Gotta make that last shuttle out of here. And he's running, and then here we go. I'll do a little bit of RP here, and then
he doesn't quite
jump.
make it.
Oh no, it didn't work. I switched it. yeah, exactly. Doesn't quite make it. Falls short. Here we go. Try one more time. Oh, it switched me to jetpack. Oh, okay. I can't do it there. Cool. And I say, if you guys want to see, there's a full change log with all the features, all the changes, all the bug fixes as well. Bug fixes, crash fixes, everything that's been in this update. So we've definitely covered the biggest things of today, I think, right, Marek? And then, but there are lots of smaller changes and, say, improvements, animations and things which are still being, some of these things are still work in progress. But yeah, it's pretty nice.
Small ones, for example, there is a scrolling between the toolbars with Control Alt and scroll on the mouse. I really hope we'll find better shortcut than this. So maybe later, because it's still a little bit, complicated. Doesn't feel so nice. So I really hope we'll find some better shortcuts. But at least it's a good start that you can be switching your toolbar without doing that complicated like Control 1, Control 2, which always feels to me like scratching in my head like that. So that's that. Then,
it's very smooth, Marek. The switching. I'm just doing this right now, like the Control Alt scroll wheel to scroll through the toolbar, and it's very smooth. So well, it's not.
It was described as a buttery smooth.
Yes, buttery smooth. Good to see they're still eating butter in the future. That's good. Sorry, Marek. I think you said there was another thing that you wanted to draw. So one of the smaller things I think you wanted to bring attention to, right?
Yeah, I'm just going through my list. I think we actually covered all of them. Probably forgot about many because there are so many things.
Yeah.
But again, it's just these little things here and there, like better sounds, better particle effects.
Did you want to go into the ongoing improvements to the workshop as well that we mentioned in the blog post? Because I think a few people might be quite interested in that.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you can do it, Aaron. And I will...
Yeah, of course. So basically, from the player feedback, we're going to be introducing some more improvements to the workshop. So of course, we'll be displaying the Steam Workshop collections in-game as planned. Blueprint screen refresh can be slow in some cases, so they're working on to fixing that. Your own private items are not correctly visible in the in-game workshop browser. So these are all things that we've taken from your feedback and we'll be fixing up. We're also working on addressing edge cases where we republish renaming tags displays in the Steam interface, and sort of might not be working in some cases as well. So it's so important to keep the feedback coming in and get them bug reports, and we'll continue to improve the Steam Workshop with that feedback so you can post your creations and have the best experience there.
For sure, it's already been a great thing that we got the workshop out so quickly, and obviously it had to be there in time for modding as well. But there's a lot of features to kind of expand upon the experience of the workshop and the publishing and sharing and viewing in game, which I think will be very, very nice and welcome changes for sure.
Because one more thing that I will add as well is in the blog post we've also noted that the paint tool, the tool palette for the paint gun at the moment is limited, but this will be updated in the future, and it will include an RGB HSV color settings and a custom palette, so you'll be able to paint your ship in whatever color but I know at the moment if you want to change color, there is mods out there that import the color texture from SE1, but that's just important to know that we are working on that for the future.
Awesome. Well, so guys, if you guys are confident that we've gone through everything in the update, I think we can probably hand this over to do a handful of questions here, ideally related to today's update. And again, if Aaron or Marek sees anything in the chat that they want to address, I think this can be a nice opportunity to address some of the thoughts and questions that the community has. Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds great. We can have a look through the comments and see what pops up.
Was there anything that you've seen, Aaron, in the chat today that's maybe a recurring question that you've seen a lot of?
Well, there's the classics, isn't there? There's the classic ones that we don't really have an answer to yet, because it's just going to be later in the development. Like when's multiplayer come in? The exact dates of some of the locations, and I think it might be good, Marek, to go over as well is why we don't put exact dates on the development as well, just so players understand that it allows us to be flexible and meet them goals to a super high standard?
Yes. So the thing is that in the development there are still some unknowns or unpredictable things or some complications. For example, even like you will have few people who will leave the team, and this can completely mess up your roadmap or your schedule, or not completely, but it can set you back by 1 month or so. And of course we have, I think the production of our game is really professionally managed, but still there are these unknowns. And if I would publicly talk about some date, then I would have to add a lot of buffer to the date, and everybody would do it that way. But I don't want to do that, so I don't want to tell you some, like a date plus 6 months, so just that we have some buffer. So that's why we are not really talking about the dates. What I can say that VS 1.5 is just few months, 2, 3, 4, something like that, and then VS2 is more months. Hopefully, and we really try hard to make it before end of this year. I mean, like way before end of this year, but still, it's in the future. So that's that. And then also, we want to release it as soon as it will be possible. But we also want to make sure that what we'll be releasing will be good experience. And
there's also another comment here, and I know we've been discussing it, about dampeners and adjustments to dampeners in the future. I don't know if we can mention or say anything about that.
You mean
yes,
ability to have them like dampening less, right?
Yes, so the comment is, has there been any decision on dropping the ridiculously overpowered ship dampeners?
Yeah, we're actually thinking that this could be configurable in the ship, on the thrusters, and because the reasoning why it's how it is that I want to, like, my personal preference is that it should feel good, and let's say arcade-ish for a new player who just comes to the game and doesn't understand the complexities of SE2 and VRH and everything. And so I think the best choice is to make it more configurable for players who don't like it for some reason. And then I've seen also people commenting that it will be problem on the planets and so on. But I would say let us deal with that when we will be dealing with it. I think we will have some clever solutions for that as well.
The next question that we've got is, will we get more detail blocks? And I think it would be good to go into the theory behind detail blocks as well, with an explanation on this one for the community.
Sorry, Aaron, I couldn't hear. Can you please repeat?
Sorry. So the question is, will we get more detail blocks? And I think it's good to go into sort of an explanation of the detail blocks and the sort of use case that we set for these as well, of what we want detail blocks to be.
And by detail blocks, you mean?
The smallest blocks available to the player, so the 25 centimeter, the smallest block.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Are you talking about the new deco blocks, that we were showing in the dev diary a couple of weeks ago?
Not quite. So what I'm talking about is on the size of blocks, the smallest size of block, we have four sizes available, don't we, Joel? So they're talking about, will there be more small detailing blocks added in?
So the smallest is 25 centimeter. That's, the size of the grid system. Of course, you can have block that is like smaller than that. But the grid resolution is 25 centimeter, and so that's that. And the reason why we chose 25 centimeter, and we made this decision at the beginning of the development of the game, I would say 2 or 3 years ago, was, and actually if you buy the Pioneer Edition, there is a concept art where we were, like testing what if the grid system is 10 centimeter, 25, and I think half meter. And because you want like good enough granularity so that players have a lot of freedom when they build, but at the same time you don't want to make it like too complicated and just like too many details and taking too long to build something, so then before you finish it you lost all the fun. So, and from all these, and also it should be easy to aim. And I think 10 centimeter would be really hard to aim when you are building. 25 centimeter, I think it's like at the beginning where it's comfortable to build. Another consideration, but this is kind of premature, is that we're also thinking that what if we'll be moving the game to VR someday? And then, imagine building with your hand like you would expect in VR. 10 centimeter, 25 centimeter, half meter, half meter would be probably too big. 10 centimeter, maybe it's the right, but maybe also 25 centimeter. And then another consideration was also, actually two considerations. So one was performance, because of course, like the more granular, detailed you make it, the more problems there will be and challenges for the performance, like baking things, finding some simplified collision shapes for physics and so on. So performance is always, and also it would mean like higher PCU costs. And the second consideration is basically like what players need, because people were able to build very nice things in SE1 over all those years, and they didn't have 25 centimeter grid system. They, just let's say have the large grid, which is 2.5 meter. If I ignore the small grid for now, and they were able to build things. So maybe it's not really the core question, like what's the granularity. So we also didn't want to overdo it, because I can go to another extreme and I will go that, let's say 1 centimeter, like would it really mean it's a better game? Maybe not. So we need to find something that has all the benefits and the least amount of those disadvantages, and that was the 25 centimeter grid system.
Okay. Another question that's just come in: are we going to get a velocity or vector indicator of some kind?
So what we are planning to do is we call it like a speed particles or velocity particles. So you would see, like as you're flying in higher speed, you would see like some kind of star field, not exactly star field, but some kind of star field in front of your eyes, indicating the speed and also the velocity relative to this field. So that will come at some point.
There's another comment about liquid mechanics for the future, about pumping liquids. Is there anything you want to talk about in terms of that? Like, how, things that we've tested with fluid being pumped? I know we've released videos showing that you can suck the fluid up into a tank and move it around. Like, I don't know if you want to give them a little bit of an overview, on the water so far of what they know, I know they're very eager to hear anything about water.
Yeah. So the things that already work, and I have seen videos that players, they already discovered and unlocked in the game. So the things that already work in this like very limited work in progress kind of like debug quality is that you can have a pipe block and or the vault, and you can like suck in water or like pump it out. You can store it inside your ship, and the volumetric hull will keep the water. You can also put the water in the containers, in the conveyor systems. We also, I'm not sure if it is in the game, but definitely we had like a water turbine that, based on the water flow, can power electrical system and produce electricity. So those kind of things will be in the game, and most of them, or like they already are in some debug quality. And also things like, let's say, picking up the water from the planet and like traveling to space, and then like throwing out the water. Those things work. What actually will happen is that the water freezes and then like dissipates or disappears. So yeah, that's for the liquids.
Mm-hmm. I know in addition as well, I'm always getting asked questions about pistons and rotors and where they will be in the scale of things, because they're not on the time frame. Is there anything we can talk about or discuss about pistons and rotors?
Mm-hmm. We actually don't have them in a specific plan, but what I mean by this, like, of course we have them in the roadmap, but right now we are focusing on VS2 and VS3, and pistons, rotors, they are not there. Also wheels are not there. So it's possible that they will be added based on the state of development in VS4. That's my kind of like a. Basically, we didn't plan VS4 and VS5 and so on in like super detail because it's still quite far in the future, and also we think that maybe we will change the plan a little bit based on the feedback. So that's why they are just roughly sketched for VS4 or 5 or something like that. But by the way, so what I want to say is that they are actually already in the game as components. So in theory, the modders maybe would be able to enable them because we have the rotors, pistons, those kind of things already in the game for, I don't know, maybe last 2 years. But again, in this very debug quality, that it was implemented by somebody, tested, but I wouldn't really put my hand to fire, for it because it wasn't, it's not a feature that has its kind of like a release deadline. So it was just prepared and so on. So, but it's in the game, the components are in the game. So if some modder will try to do it and maybe, they will be able to do it and maybe it will even work. So let's see.
How are we doing for time as well, Joel? Can we go for a few more questions?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, sure. If you see some questions that we can answer, well, go for it. Yeah.
So there's a question about components traveling through the conveyor system, and they wanted to know will the conveyor system work like it did in the past with certain components not being able to go through certain sizes, or is this still up for development and discussion?
It's still for development discussion, but we actually had many designs for this from like very complicated, where you need special kinds of conveyors for these components, or the ore and the water and so on. And in the end, we actually want to simplify to make it more intuitive for players, so they don't have to kind of micromanage these things, but the game takes care of this. So it will be rather made more intuitive than overcomplicating it. That's the current vision, but the details I would say still are a little bit open, as we continue.
Right, I'm just having a quick look through of what else we've got. We've got some fun questions. Would you like a few fun questions, Marek?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nuclear weapons and warheads. Will anything like that ever exist? So massive explosive warheads.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we can do that in the future, because again, those things are things that we usually have to optimize if you want to guarantee some good performance. So like definitely they are possible in theory in the game, but what we as the official developers of the game, our duty is to deliver the things in like some good quality with some, because players, they have some expectations. So if you would want to make massive explosions with massive destruction, then we would have to do a lot of optimization so that works. And by this, what I mean is that don't think about it like the game is programmed in a bad way or wrongly. It's more like if you would be doing a massive explosion, there will be so much small changes in the game, and optimization usually is that the game needs to decide how to do less of those things, because it's not possible to do all those calculations. It's just like simply not possible. The hardware wouldn't be able to do it. So what you need to do is to do things on a higher granularity, but without player noticing something is different or something is wrong. So that's the tricky part, that usually the first naive implementation can work, and then you try to think about how to do less, so the CPU and GPU has less work, and that's the optimizations. That's why things sometimes need to be optimized.
I also saw a question, Marek, if we're talking about fun questions. Someone asked Marek, do you own a badger?
You mean badgers like the animal?
Yeah, as in the badger. I think. Do you have a honey badger? Is what people were asking.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
I would like, but I think it would be quite hard to
keep them.
to
The
keep
Badger
them, because
Alcatraz, right? You have to build a.
yes, because they are quite brutal. So yeah, I think it would be quite hard.
So not yet, guys, not yet. Marek will keep you updated on Badger ownership.
Yeah, but if somebody's interested in Czech Republic, in Prague, in the zoo, there are some honey badgers, and then
I've seen them.
nice. And then we have a safari park in Hradec Králové, and it's actually amazing safari park. I would recommend anyone to visit it because I think the quality is really high, and they also have, I think, 2 honey badgers, and actually one was born there in captivity 2 years ago or so, which was a rare event because they usually are not born in captivity. So that was, I think maybe first time ever in history. So yeah. Other than that, we just visited, of course, Stoffel. Maybe people know Stoffel, the famous honey badger from South Africa. So we met him 7 or 8 years ago in Moholoholo Rehabilitation Center in South Africa, close to Kruger. So those who know Stoffel, they know how important meeting that was, to see.
The legend, the myth, the legend, Stoffel.
Yes. Yeah, he's the Badger president.
Locked up in Badger Alcatraz.
Yes. Doing his time.
For life. Oh, okay. So guys, again, Aaron, there's always more questions, but unless you see anything that we can really nail today, we can always keep it for the next one. It's never, the next stream is never too far away.
Yeah, I've had a good look through, and we've got some questions. A lot of them now we've started on the fantasy questions are going
volcanoes
down,
when
yeah, exactly, like volcanoes, oil under the ground questions and things that like it's always great giving you feedback, and that's what I really want to finish on is your feedback, your ideas, your inspiration, things that come to mind when you're playing. Get them on the support site, see what other community members think of your ideas, and we'll pay attention to these. The same with your building. When you guys are building, you're publishing things to the workshop. We're still keeping an eye out for that hashtag SE. If you're interested in your Discord and becoming part of a community, our community on Discord is a great place to start and share your builds, see what other people are building, and also get a great introduction to the game. Even if you're playing Space Engineers 1 or you're just getting into it, getting into the community, there's loads of really talented individuals who will help you out and get you started, and you might also meet some friends along the way. I know I definitely have met a lot of friends playing Space Engineers.
For sure, dude. It's gonna be it's I say there's some really good vibes going on, and I think we've talked a lot about today's update. We've talked a lot about the future, and even the next update is another one. I wouldn't want to say like community focused, but I think that modding being the next like major feature to be added to the game is huge, and it sounds like because of the way things have kind of been going, there's going to be, even on day one, there's going to be some mods for you guys to check out. So definitely really excited for that. And modders, it's
going to be insane.
Like they always do things that we never expect, and with the tools that they'll have, the VRage hub, the VRage editor, it's going to be absolutely mad. It's going to be next level. So lots to look forward to. And not that far even. Nothing's that far. And neither is 206. 206 with Space Engineers 1. Just a matter of weeks away. So very soon. And a lot of people are asking about 206. So that is so close now.
Lovely.
So, I say, Marek, anything else you'd like to finish on today? Any other messages for the community and the players out there?
Just thanks everyone who's making content for Space Engineers 1 and Space Engineers 2, and everyone who is giving us feedback. That's why we are here and why we put the game on early access. So thanks again, and I'm looking forward to the other vertical slices. The next one is VS 1.5, the modding and editor. I think that has big potential, and then obviously survival. But anyway, I'm enjoying the development of SE2. It's really super good, and for me, this will be the ultimate project of my life. So like I really want to make it like as best as humanly possible.
Oh, for sure. It's shaping up that way. And Aaron, I mean, anything else from you, sir?
I will, from a community perspective, it's been absolutely incredible so far to see everything that people are doing. Or like from this seat where I'm looking, I'm seeing people build, people engage with the beginning of what modding will be, you know, and working out how all these elements feed into each other to build the best possible Space Engineers 2, and seeing how passionate the team are behind the scenes. So not just the Space Engineers 2 team, but the Space Engineers 1 team as well. They are so passionate in the work that they're actually carrying out there, and how they're iterating on the designs, they're improving everything that's step by step. And then also when they're checking out the things you're building, when I showed them some of the ships that you guys are working on, they're like, wow, look, you know, we've helped build these tools, and this is what the players are creating. And Marek will say it as well, when we see what you guys have built with the tools that we provided, it's amazing. It's lovely. It's so satisfying to know that we're giving a chance for people to, you know, have a go and be creative. It's like we're allowing people to make art in some sort of way, art that they can one day shoot and battle against each other.
It's coming. It's all coming, for sure. No, it's good stuff, guys. And I, of course, also want to thank, I think you guys did a good job of thanking the team there. So big shout out to the team again, both teams, and to everyone who joined the stream today. There's been a lot of you, and we've had some great questions, some great ideas. That kind of spontaneous poll we did on the feature that's kind of stopping you from either buying the game or jumping in for a long time was very interesting and that I'll be interested to kind of look back on as well.
One last thing I did want to say, Joel, as well, is when I've been having a look through all the Steam reviews, it's so lovely to see how passionate members of the community are that are reviewing. So it's lovely seeing them Steam reviews. So keep them coming. Yeah,
that's also true. Yeah, keep the Steam reviews is also good. So if you guys have a moment to leave a review as well, that's also a very focused place to read thoughts and feedback there. So that's also a good point. And I think other than the classics, which I think Aaron covered a bit there, all the socials, discord.gg/KeenSWH for all the chatter and kind of chilling with the community all days of the week, all hours of the day. And the other thing was the merch again. SE2 merch on the Zazzle store. That was another thing. Oh no, I've got another thing as well, of course, we covered at the very start, was the weekly updates, Marek's Dev Diaries, newsletter. There's never been so much information being released to the community and shared with you guys. So definitely make sure you're up to date with all that. What's that, man?
And I'll get them links out one more time.
Get them links out one last time, exactly. Okay then, and thanks of course to Aaron and Marek for joining the stream today. It was a pleasure to have you as always, guys, and we will see you all very soon. Who knows, will it be an SE2, will it be SE1? Who knows when the next time will be, but many streams coming soon. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a great day. We'll finish off with the trailer again. Have a great day. Thanks, everybody. We're out. And trailer time one more time. Fly safe.
Target range active. Debug gun. Now with enhanced model and effects. Let's see what it can do. More down. Jetpack upgraded. Booster engaged. That's new. Thrust response feels tighter. Navigation smoother. Feels like flying, not wrestling. Let's dock this beast. One click, one motion. Whole ship obeys. Third person off center. Finally, I can see what I'm doing. Asteroids never stood a chance. Destruction's got weight now. Satisfying. Let's add some color. No, too much. Undo that. Wish I had that for my life choices. Toolbars scroll like butter. Let's get a few more of these. we stress test. Results explosive. Vertical Slice 1.2 is live now. What will you build next?